Serious, have you ever known someone who wholeheartedly believed that they were Wolfkin, a vampire, an elf, had special powers, and couldn't handle the reality that they weren't when confronted? What happened to them? I met a guy who was supposedly pretty close to the level in Scientology where you're supposed to develop powers like telepathy and stuff. Not sure what became of him. You'd think that once people reached this level and didn't have powers they'd quit, but brainwashing. Not sure what became of him. He used his telepathy powers on you so you would forget about him. He's standing behind you right now, but you can't perceive him. Someone called the SCP Anti-Medic Division. It clearly didn't work then. Went to school with a girl who acted like a dog. Barked, panted, pawed at people. In class she would reply normally but then bark at the end. This went on for 3 years. Decided to look her up on FB and she has a good job and seems normal. Teenagers are ducking weird. Was it an actual bark sound or was she like Thomas Jefferson was the third president? Oh, and woof. She went fully into character. She started out with pitiful yipes and later mimicked a dog's bark pretty accurately. It was mildly terrifying. I forgot to mention she'd crawl on all four and would jump up against friends with her 2 front paws. Not gonna lie, that's heckin' weird. Honestly surprised she had friends. I once dated a girl who would wear a bell around her neck and act like a cat. Over time her self-esteem improved and she just sort of grew out of it without me saying anything or pressuring her. One day the bell was just a ribbon and then she stopped wearing the ribbon. At least in the case of high schoolers who act like this, I would say in 90% of people it really is just a phase in a growing kid's search for identity and community. These days when the internet is always there for you, there are infinite communities for people of all sorts. When you're an angsty teen who doesn't know who they are yet, it's easy to latch on to an accepting community and identify with them because they accept you, even if that's not really who you are. I mean, that's how I got sucked into the friend group I had in high school, and it's why I wasted so much time on Gaia Online back in the day. Wow, I also wasted a massive amount of time on that site. I forgot about that until now. I wholeheartedly believe I'm a witch, always have. But the issue is my definition is vastly different to what you see in movies. My soul loves to remind me every now and then that magic isn't real or that being a witch isn't a thing, but I just laugh at his ignorance because being a witch, for me, is just being a spiritual person without necessarily believing in a god. Also he has heavily Catholic family members which he goes to church with despite not believing a word that the priests say. I use crystals, feathers, sea salt, and candles to set my intentions a specific way and believe the universe will do its thing and guide me through the right paths. Since discovering witchcraft, I've been way happier and have actually worked through more trauma than I ever worked through with counselors. That being said, still go to therapy if you need it, kids. My therapist is great and encourages the witchcraft. Connecting with nature fulfills me in ways nothing else does. Meditating under a full moon is even better. By the way, for anyone who wants to try, this Friday the 13th is a full moon. It's pretty much being religious, but instead of God it's the universe, the earth that I believe in. I don't mind when people don't believe in my doo-doo, but it really bothers me when people go out of their way to tell me it's BS, or worse, go out of their way to force me to see things from their side. Don't do this doo-doo, because I will always bring up how religions are basically the same concept, except being a witch means you believe you have the power in yourself rather than some random entity having the power to bestow unto you. If you're not going around telling religious people that their beliefs are bogus, then don't be a stick and tell spiritual people that their beliefs are bogus. The best though, is when people are skeptical of my doo-doo, but the second they see my room they are automatically drawn to all the why doo-doo in it and start asking me what each thing means or does. As for what happened to me, I was abused as a kid, so from a young age I clung onto objects for a feeling of home. I happened to like crystals, rocks, feathers, salt, shells, sand, and fire a lot as a kid and was obsessed with making potions and casting spells. When I rediscovered witchcraft a year or so ago, I looked up the basics and was impressed by the coincidence that all things witchcraft related were the things I was naturally attracted to as a child. I may not have good biological parents, but seeing the earth, sun, moon, and universe as my family makes it easier to deal with my trauma. So I get pretty defensive when people come at me with aggressive stances on it. Especially if those people haven't experienced PTSD. Yes, unfortunately. He claimed to have an invisible tail and had a dream in which a great mother wolf revealed to him that he had the soul of a wolf. So he did what any sane person would do and started buying furs to masturbate onto. He showed me eBay links via Facebook and explained that it's one of the only 2 ways that he can get off, as well as started ducking dogs, or so he claimed. Last I heard, he's in Alaska working with sled dogs, all the while he's engaged to a woman who he refuses to have sex with because human sex is disgusting to him. I need a drink just ducking writing that. Somebody might want to check on those dogs. It's a terrifying thought. Wow, I'm surprised I can actually answer this one. In high school I became friends with a girl I met through theater. This was during the Undertale craze. She got me into the game and eventually confided in me that she was kin with Sans, the skeleton from the game. I decided to go ahead and go with it because I really liked her and I didn't really have many close friends at the time. I asked her what made her believe she was Sans, and she explained that since there's an infinite number of universes with infinite different timelines, there's probably a timeline somewhere in which she really is Sans. I think she also identified a lot with his whole "I'm funny and outgoing on the outside but I'm actually really depressed" thing. In all honesty, she had a lot of mental health issues and it was a form of escapism for her. She kept it to herself and never talked about it at school, but I would listen to her when she needed it and I would call her Sans after school because it made her happy. I felt bad because she really needed someone to understand her, and it felt like one small thing I could do to make her feel better. She's doing much better now. We kinda fell out of contact, but she's got a good job and I think she's moved on from the kin thing. It's what got her through high school in one piece, so I don't regret indulging her at all. I know it's easy to make fun of teenagers on Tumblr who say they're an angel or a god or a character from a video game, but please don't antagonize them. 99 times out of 100 it comes from a lack of attention, self-esteem or mental health issues, or just a really strong desire to fit in with a community. Buckle the duck up, everyone. Because I was that kid in middle school. I wholeheartedly believed I was a forest elf. I don't even really remember how it started, but I always loved fantasy novels growing up, especially ones about mythical creatures and nymphs and fairies, all that doo-doo. In middle school, I wore a lot of earthy colors, always had flowers in my hair, joined the archery club, which I was not good at, mind you. I wore elf ears to school, and I mostly walked around barefoot, not at school, obviously. I thought I would communicate with forest animals and navigate myself using only the trees and any water source. Needless to say, I was definitely picked on a lot. I'm 26 now and an IT consultant, married to a damn great guy, and have a baby girl on the way. I never picked up archery again, I promise. My former friend Mark, who ran around at night naked thinking he was a werewolf. He stopped when he was shot in the ass by a paranoid farmer. Small town thought Mark had too much time and energy and so they had him join the football team. I don't think he runs around naked anymore, but he works as a vet and helps raise wolves. Who knew getting shot was a wake-up call? I also have a cousin who got shot in the ass with a BB gun. He's now a retired Navy and is teaching guns and gun safety. Well, good for him. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please come back soon.